There is a photo hanging in my mother's living room. It was taken when I was about 7 years old, all of us smiling like we had no worries in the world. For most of my life, I believed that picture told the truth. I believed family was the safest place to be. But some lessons take 32 years to learn. Sometimes the people who are supposed to love you the most are the ones who hurt you the deepest. I never thought a family vacation would be the moment everything changed. Before we dive into this story, let me know in the comments where you are watching from today. If you have ever felt invisible in your own family, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Trust me, you will want to hear how this one ends. My name is Ivana, and I am 32 years old. I work as an accountant at a mid-sized firm downtown, and I live alone in a small apartment about 20 minutes from my mother's house. My father passed away from a heart attack when I was 15, and ever since then, our family dynamic shifted in ways I did not fully understand until much later. Let me introduce you to my family. My mother, Gloria, is 58 years old. She has been a widow for 17 years, and she always says that family comes first. But over time, I started to notice that her definition of family did not always include me equally. My older sister, Meredith, is 36. She married her husband, Derek, right out of college, and they have 3 children together. Jaden is 10, Emma is 7, and Lucas is 4. Meredith has always been the golden child in our family. She got married young, had kids early, and my mother treats her like she hung the moon. Then there is my younger brother, Brandon. He is 28, married to Stephanie, and they have 2 kids. Lily is 5 and Noah is 2. Brandon is the baby of the family, and my mother has always protected him like he could do no wrong. And then there is me, the middle child, the peacemaker, the one who somehow became the family's unofficial helper without ever signing up for the job. After my father died, I became my mother's emotional support. I was the one who sat with her on the hard nights, who helped her navigate bills and paperwork, who made sure she ate dinner when the grief got too heavy. Meredith was busy planning her wedding, and Brandon was only 13, so the responsibility fell on me. I did not mind at first. I loved my family and I wanted to help. But somewhere along the way, helping turned into expectation. And expectation turned into obligation. When Meredith had her first baby, Jaden, I took 2 weeks off work to help her. I stayed at her house, woke up for night feedings, did laundry, cooked meals. My mother came by a few times to hold the baby and take pictures, but the actual work fell on me. Every holiday became the same pattern. I would arrive early to help cook, spend the entire day in the kitchen, then clean up while everyone else sat in the living room watching television with the kids. Meredith would complain about how tired she was from motherhood. Brandon would talk about his stressful job, and I would scrub dishes alone, wondering when it became my role to serve everyone. Brandon and Stephanie started asking me to babysit almost every weekend. They needed date nights. They needed alone time. They needed breaks from the kids. And since I was single, since I did not have children of my own, they assumed I had nothing better to do. I said yes every time. I told myself it was what good aunts do. I told myself I was building relationships with my nieces and nephews. But deep down, I was starting to feel used. The first time I really noticed something was wrong was on my 30th birthday 2 years ago. I planned a small dinner at a nice restaurant downtown. Nothing fancy, just a chance for my family to celebrate with me. Meredith arrived 45 minutes late, complaining loudly about how hard it was to find a babysitter at the last minute. She did not apologize for making me wait. She just sat down and started looking at the menu like nothing was wrong. Brandon did not show up at all. He sent me a text message while I was already at the table waiting for him. It said, "Sorry, sis, Stephanie is not feeling well. We will catch up another time." That was it. No phone call, no real explanation, just a text message dismissing my birthday like it was an inconvenience. My mother came, but she spent most of the dinner on her phone calling Brandon to check on Stephanie. She kept stepping away from the table to talk to him, leaving me sitting with Meredith, who was scrolling through her own phone. When it came time for gifts, my mother handed me a small box. Inside was a scarf. It was nice enough, but I could not help remembering that she had given Meredith a gold bracelet for her birthday the year before. The kind of bracelet you give someone you are proud of. The kind of gift that says you matter. I went home that night feeling hollow, but I told myself I was overthinking it. I told myself that family dynamics are complicated, and I should not compare myself to my siblings. I pushed the feelings down and moved on. Looking back, I wish I had paid more attention to that moment. It was trying to tell me something I was not ready to hear. The year that followed my 30th birthday was filled with more of the same, except somehow it got worse. In March, Meredith and Derek announced they were going on a week-long vacation to Florida. Just the two of them, a romantic getaway to reconnect and relax. I was happy for them until Meredith turned to me and said, "You will watch the kids, right?" It was not a question, it was a statement. She had already assumed I would say yes. I had to request time off work to cover that week. I used vacation days I had been saving for a trip of my own. But when I mentioned this to my mother, hoping she might offer to help split the responsibility, she just shrugged and said, "Ivana, you do not have kids. You have plenty of free time." I watched Jaden, Emma, and Lucas for 7 days. I drove them to school, helped with homework, made dinners, handled bedtime routines, and cleaned up endless messes. When Meredith and Derek came back tanned and relaxed, they thanked me with a magnet from Florida and a casual, "You are the best, sis." No real acknowledgement of what I had sacrificed, no offer to return the favor, just a magnet I threw in a drawer and never looked at again. In May, Brandon and Stephanie celebrated their 5-year wedding anniversary. They wanted a weekend away, just the two of them. Guess who got the call I spent that weekend with Lily and Noah? Noah was going through a phase where he woke up crying at 2 in the morning every single night. Lily had a stomach bug that required 3 outfit changes in 1 day. By Sunday evening, I was exhausted running on coffee and patience I did not know I had. When Brandon and Stephanie picked up the kids, there was no thank you. Stephanie just said, "We are back, you can bring them over now," like I was some kind of delivery service. Brandon gave me a side hug and said, "You are a lifesaver," which might have meant something if he had not said the exact same thing every single time. Then August came and my mother fell. She slipped on her back porch and hurt her hip. It was not a serious injury, but she needed help around the house for a couple of weeks while she recovered. Doctor's appointments, physical therapy, cooking, cleaning. She could not do it all alone. I worked remotely from her house for 2 weeks. I rearranged my entire schedule to be there for her. I cooked her meals, drove her to every appointment, helped her with exercises the physical therapist recommended. I was there every single day. Meredith visited twice. Each visit lasted about 30 minutes. She brought flowers once and a casserole from the grocery store the second time. She sat with our mother, chatted about the kids, then left saying she had to get back before the babysitter's time was up. Brandon called a few times. He asked how Mom was doing, said he wished he could help. Explained that work was really demanding right now. He never once made the drive to see her in person. By the time my mother recovered, I was burned out. I had given up 2 weeks of my life, fallen behind at work, and felt like I was running on empty. But when I brought this up to my mother, gently suggesting that maybe Meredith and Brandon could have helped more, she got defensive. "They have families, Ivana. They have responsibilities. You do not understand how hard it is for them." I did not argue. I just swallowed my frustration and went home. Then came October. The month everything changed. It was a Sunday dinner at my mother's house, which was a regular tradition we had kept since my father passed away. The whole family was there, and there was an unusual energy in the room. Everyone seemed excited about something. Meredith clinked her glass to get everyone's attention. She had a big smile on her face. "I have an idea," she announced. "We should take a family trip together. All of us. It has been too long since we have done something fun as a family." Brandon immediately jumped in. "A cruise? Stephanie and I have always wanted to try one. Let us do a cruise." My mother's eyes lit up. "That sounds wonderful." It has been years since we have all traveled together. I felt something warm spread through my chest. A family trip. All of us together. For the first time in as long as I could remember, I felt included. I felt like I was part of the plan, not an afterthought. Then Derek spoke up. "So, who is going to watch the kids? A cruise is not really the best place for young children." The room went quiet for a moment. I watched as glances were exchanged between my siblings, between my mother and Meredith. Then Meredith turned to me with that sweet smile she always uses when she wants something. "Ivana," she said, "you could help us out with that, right? You do not really like the ocean anyway." Brandon nodded eagerly. "Yeah, Ivana would be perfect for this. She loves the kids." I sat there frozen, my heart sinking into my stomach. I looked at my mother, waiting for her to say something to defend me, to suggest they find another solution. Instead, she said, Ivana, you do not have a family of your own. Going on a cruise alone would just be sad. This way you can spend quality time with your nieces and nephews. I felt like I had been slapped. My voice came out quieter than I intended. So let me understand this. You all go on a cruise and I stay home to babysit 5 children by myself. Meredith waved her hand dismissively. It is not babysitting when it is family. You would be helping us out. That is what family does. The conversation moved on without me. They started talking about which cruise line to book, which ports to visit, which restaurants they wanted to try. I sat at that table surrounded by people who were supposed to love me, and I had never felt more alone. That night, I drove home in silence. No music, no podcasts, just the sound of my own thoughts echoing in my head. When I got to my apartment, I sat on my couch and cried until I had no tears left. Over the next few days, the family group chat exploded with excitement about the cruise, links to cabins, itineraries, dining options. Everyone was chiming in with opinions and preferences. No one asked what I thought. No one checked if I was okay with the arrangement. It was simply assumed that I would stay behind and take care of their children. Meredith sent me a private message. Remember to prepare stuff for the kids. We will be gone 7 days. She included a list of what to pack for each child. Stephanie followed up with her own message. Here is Lily and Noah's eating schedule and sleep routine. Noah is really particular about bedtime, so please follow it exactly. They were not asking me. They were instructing me. Like I was the hired help. Like my time, my life, my desires did not matter at all. Something inside me cracked open that week. I started looking back at every sacrifice I had made every time I had put my own needs aside for this family. And for the first time, I saw it clearly. They did not see me as an equal. They saw me as a convenience. 1 week before the cruise, my mother called another family gathering at her house. She said they needed to discuss the final details and they wanted me there to go over the childcare arrangements. I showed up that evening already knowing what I was going to do. But I sat quietly while Meredith handed me a printed schedule color coded by child. Jaden has soccer practice on Tuesday and Thursday. Emma has a piano lesson on Wednesday. Lucas needs to be picked up from preschool by 3 every day. Derek made a joke that twisted in my chest. Think of it as a trial run for motherhood, Ivana. Good practice for you. Stephanie added her own instructions. Do not forget that Noah is allergic to peanuts, and Lily gets anxious at bedtime, so she needs her stuffed rabbit. Brandon, trying to sound generous, said, We will give you some money for gas, of course. I listened to all of it without saying a word. Then my mother sealed it. Ivana, she said, you should be grateful for this opportunity to bond with the children. You do not have kids of your own. This is your way of contributing to the family. I looked around the room. At my sister, who had used me as free childcare for 10 years. At my brother, who only called when he needed something. At my mother, who had never once considered that I might want something for myself. And I realized that if I did not stand up now, I never would. I took a deep breath. Actually, I have something to tell all of you. Everyone stopped talking. The room went silent. I will not be watching the kids next week. Meredith's face went pale. What do you mean? We already booked everything. Brandon leaned forward. Come on, Ivana. Stop joking around. You know we need you. I shook my head. This is not a joke. I have booked my own trip. I am going to Costa Rica for a yoga retreat. I leave the same day you do. The explosion came immediately. My mother stood up, her voice sharp. You are being selfish, Ivana. How could you do this to your family? Meredith's voice cracked with frustration. You are ruining everything. Do you have any idea how much this trip cost us? Stephanie looked at Brandon with panic in her eyes. Who is going to watch the kids now? Derek sat quietly staring at his shoes. He was the only one who did not yell. I stood my ground. For 32 years, I have been the one who stays behind. I have been the backup plan. I have been the one you never consider when you make plans. I have given up vacations, birthdays, weekends, and holidays for this family, and not once have any of you treated me like I matter. I turned to my mother. Mom, I love you. But I am not a free babysitter. I am not here just to make everyone else's lives easier. I deserve to be treated with respect. I looked at Meredith. You have 3 children. That was your choice. Taking care of them is your responsibility, not mine. I looked at Brandon. You always say you love me, but you only show up when you need something from me. That is not love. That is using someone." The room was dead silent. No one knew what to say. I picked up my purse and walked toward the door. "I am going to Costa Rica. You will need to figure out childcare on your own." That is what parents do. I did not look back. The flight to Costa Rica felt like the first breath I had taken in years. The resort was tucked into the mountains, surrounded by rainforest and the sound of birds I had never heard before. I checked into my room, a small wooden cabin with a view of the valley below, and I sat on the porch for a long time, just breathing. The first few days were hard. I kept reaching for my phone, checking the family group chat out of habit. The messages were a mix of panic, anger, and passive-aggressive comments aimed at me. My mother wrote that she was disappointed. Meredith said I had betrayed the family. Brandon said nothing, which somehow hurt more. I turned off the notifications. Slowly, I started to settle into the rhythm of the retreat. I woke up early for yoga sessions on an outdoor platform overlooking the jungle. I ate meals in silence with strangers who became friends by the end of the week. I hiked through the forest, swam in natural pools, and spent hours doing nothing but watching the clouds move across the sky. One morning, I sat on a cliff as the sun rose over the mountains, and for the first time in years, I cried. Not out of sadness or anger, but out of relief. I had spent so long carrying the weight of my family's expectations that I had forgotten what it felt like to be free. I wrote in my journal every night. I wrote about my father, about the way I had tried to fill the hole he left behind. I wrote about my mother, about wanting her approval and never quite feeling like I had earned it. I wrote about Meredith and Brandon, about the resentment I had buried for so long. By the end of the week, I felt lighter than I had in years. When I came home, I learned that the cruise had been canceled. Without a reliable babysitter, they could not figure out a solution in time. My mother was furious. Meredith blamed me for ruining their vacation. Brandon did not call at all. I expected to feel guilty, but I did not. My mother called me a few days later, her voice cold. "Are you happy now? You destroyed our family trip." I stayed calm. "Mom, I did not destroy anything. I just refused to be taken for granted. There is a difference." She hung up on me. I wrote a long email to my entire family. I explained how I had been feeling for years, how invisible and undervalued I had become in their eyes. I set clear boundaries. I told them I was happy to help when asked respectfully and given proper notice, but I was no longer available as a default option. I was no longer the backup plan. Some of them reacted with anger, some with silence, but Derek surprised me. He sent me a private message apologizing for not speaking up sooner. He said he had seen how they treated me and he was sorry he never said anything. It was small, but it meant something. 6 months have passed since that family dinner. Things are different now, but not entirely healed. Meredith has started asking me instead of telling me when she needs help. It is not perfect, but it is progress. Brandon is still distant. We barely talk anymore. But honestly, that silence feels healthier than the one-sided relationship we had before. My mother and I are slowly rebuilding. She does not fully understand why I did what I did, but she has stopped criticizing me openly. We talk on the phone once a week, and sometimes it almost feels normal. As for me, I have started taking pottery classes on the weekends. I booked another solo trip for next spring. I have learned to enjoy my own company, to stop waiting for my family to validate my worth. Here is what I have learned. Loving your family does not mean sacrificing yourself for them. Setting boundaries is not selfish. It is survival. And sometimes the hardest thing you will ever do is stand up for yourself in a room full of people who expect you to sit down. I do not know what the future holds for my family, but I know one thing for certain. I will never go back to being a doormat. Not for anyone. If you are watching this and you see yourself in my story, I want you to know something. You deserve to be treated with respect. You deserve to have your time and energy valued. And if the people around you cannot see that, maybe it is time to show them. So let me ask you this. Have you ever felt invisible in your own family? Have you ever had to stand up for yourself even when no one supported you? I would love to hear your story in the comments below. If this video meant something to you, please hit the like button and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Subscribe to the channel so you do not miss more stories like this one. Thank you for watching, and thank you for being here with me today. I hope wherever you are, you know that your worth is not measured by what you give to others. It is measured by how you treat yourself. Take care of yourself. You are worth it.